Kia ora guys, and welcome back to another Train Like a King podcast episode. I know it's been a minute, and it's always a minute since the last episode. However, hey, I'm back, and this is another episode. And in this one, haven't really prepped, but going to be recapping mainly Brazil Distance World Championships that we have recently finished. And then any other races that I feel like recapping on that might come to mind that have happened this year and anything else that's happened, because there's a lot to update you guys on. I believe the last episode was to do with the Molokai Hoi last year. So that means that it's been a long time since my last podcast, but you're hearing another episode. And thank you guys for listening to all the old episodes, and thank you for listening to this one and continuing to support Train Like a King and myself. Yeah, in this episode we're going to be recapping Brazil 2025 Distance Champs. So I've got a few questions here from the trusty ChatGPT to help me, because I haven't really prepped anything, but we're just going to go with it. Number one, I want to talk about the location itself. Brazil, conditions, heat, humidity, water, and everything. First and foremost, location of Niteroi, Brazil, which is across the harbour from Rio. So we flew into Rio. Well, we've left Auckland, flew into Chile as a stopover, and then from Chile, Santiago to Rio de Janeiro. And we arrived pretty late, 11 o'clock at night, and immediately caught a bus from the airport to our hotel, Hotel Niteroi. And it was a nice hotel, right close to the beach, relatively close to the venue, and close to the beautiful beaches. The beach, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, was the beach where the races took place. And we were located, our hotel was located on the beach, Isarai Beach. So beautiful spot, beautiful locations. Like the scenery is just amazing, eh? The mountains are very unique. They have a very unique shape. They're really round and bold. And across the harbour you can see the Sugarloaf and Christ the Redeemer up on the hill, and it's so beautiful. Temperature really good. Although it was winter, it was perfect for us New Zealanders. Like, it was warm, but not too warm, not too cold. But, you know, you could still wear a pair of pants or a hoodie at night time if you wanted to. So that was really cool. And yeah, overall, it was beautiful. The water itself was pretty cool, because obviously you got really good views, up close views of the Fortaleza, which is the army barracks that were created, back in the day. They're a bit of a historic site to see, and yeah, you get close-ups of everything. I will say, obviously, the water isn't the cleanest. Having so many people in one city is, that's the kind of things that you run into. There's a bit of pollution. I think it rained before we got there, so that brings the rubbish down from, I guess, the favela or the mountains, and it washes it into the ocean. So, but they did say that the water was relatively good for us, for the Distance World Champs, compared to what it can be. So you got to count your positives. But yeah, overall, the beauty of Brazil was amazing. Like, especially the sunsets. The sunsets just hit different over there. I will say a little bit of the smog, I guess, would be present during some of those sunsets, which actually made it even nicer to look at, especially from the hotel, the top floor of our hotel, in the pool, watching the sunset was pretty spectacular. So yeah, that was cool. The atmosphere itself, that was a whole nother vibe too. So I rate the atmosphere and I guess the culture and the energy of all of the paddlers and the vibe of the event was up there with one of the best out of all of the world championships that I've been to. It's unique because Brazil are still young in their uptake of outrigger canoeing. Like, it's still, I think to them it's a relatively new experience, and they're gaining a lot of momentum, gaining a lot of new paddlers. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of experience there already, paddlers who have been there for quite a few years now, but I feel like they're still in their infancy, and because of that, a lot of them are just excited to learn and grow and experience the sport. And it's amazing to see because it seems stronger than maybe because New Zealand's already really developed, Tahiti's already really developed, and not a lot has changed, for a long period of time. We've always been quite passionate about the sport of va'a, but Brazil they've got a lot of momentum behind them. And I think that's what made this one so special, is that there was a lot of excitement, particularly from the local Brazilians. A lot of them coming from their states to compete in this event, or even just support the event, and that was a cool experience. And I think it made it even more meaningful for the other countries who were attending as well. So I thought that was really cool. It wasn't my first time to Brazil. My first time was 11 years ago for the sprint championships in Rio, and then obviously I went to the Molacabra in Fortaleza a couple of years ago, which was awesome experience. And I can see the growth even just within those periods, from the 11 years ago to a couple of years ago to now. It's just a whole nother ball game of passion in Brazil, which is awesome to see. It's pretty motivating to see too. It's pretty cool. It's also something to watch out for, because I think Brazil has that potential of being. They did amazing at this World Champs, and it just goes to show that they are and will continue to be a big threat in the sport of va'a. They've got everything they need. When their resources improve, their access to better canoes and things like that, I think you got to watch out. Watch out. What this championship meant for the team and for Aotearoa. What it meant for us, I think, same as ever, it's always very special to represent your country. We had a pretty big contingent come from New Zealand. Not as big as a sprint championships. Obviously, you get a lot more participation because of club events and more races to be entered, and that equates to more participation. But we still had a pretty significant contingent. We filled most of the divisions, I believe. I don't know how we rated overall in terms of participation, but I guess it would have been up there. The build-up, preparation at home, training camps and all of that. This is something that I haven't had the opportunity to talk about, but we prepared pretty hard and pretty extensively, pretty much all year, 8 months. And we had a lot of training camps. We had 6+, maybe 8 training camps in total for the elite men's team, and a lot of dedication from our paddlers, traveling from all around the country to get to our camps. A lot of them were here at home in Tauranga, and it was awesome. It was an awesome experience, getting to know a few new paddlers. I wouldn't say new paddlers, but new to the elite men's team, open men's team division. We had a couple of junior paddlers in there, and that was pretty cool to have a good level of experience, but also bringing some of our young guns along with us too. So yeah, the preparation was good. Obviously, it's always hard training in the wintertime, preparing for an event that is warmer, but we make do. And it's always motivating when you've got a goal in mind, like Brazil or obviously Singapore next year. When you've got something to train for, it's more motivating. Challenges before departure. Did we run into any challenges? Not necessarily. We didn't really run into too many challenges. It was all pretty well. We put all our paddles into one paddle bag, and everything was pretty smooth sailing. I think the only thing that really challenged for us was the jet lag. So lucky we arrived at least a week and a half before our race, so we had plenty of time to get over the jet lag, plenty of time to get accustomed to everything, and stop waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning and without being able to get back to sleep. That was a challenge. Mental, physical state heading into Brazil. Everything was good. We felt good. We felt prepared. We covered most of our bases, and the hardest part was waiting for the race, I think, at the end of the day. Waiting for the race, and I would say another challenge was probably we had some really good sessions early on, but then once the singles kicked off, we had a few of us, we had 3 of our paddlers have races on different days before our main 6-man, and that kind of threw a spanner in the mix of like being able to field a full 6-man crew leading into race day. It just made our taper for that race a little bit more difficult because we had always had someone missing. That wasn't ideal, but it's just part of racing an event like this. It's pretty often that you'll have a V1 representative paddling in the 6-man team too, which is what we had. But we also had a junior who was racing in a 6-man race prior to that too. So yeah, that's always a challenge. Race day experience. Conditions on the day. We were the last race of the event and we watched every type of condition. For example, my dad's team had one of the toughest conditions out there. Big surf, big wind, a lot of bailing, a lot of water intake, and they actually unfortunately didn't finish their race because their canoe took on too much water and were unable to bail that water out because it was so low, and they had to pull out. Then we seen, other challenging days, I guess, where maybe it wasn't as big, but there was some tricky winds out there, and we got the sense that the race isn't over until it's over. There were a lot of dynamic last minute changes, I guess, so towards the later stages of a race, we witnessed canoes leaking, we witnessed canoe armor falling apart and things like this. So we watched it all, and then when it came to our race, we probably had one of the calmest days and one of the hottest days. I think it reached 30 degrees on our race, and our strategy, we knew what the currents and the tides were doing. Our strategy was to basically try and stay, get a good position after the start and then stay in the channel heading out because the current was going out. And that's where we ran into our first trouble. And for those that have watched the live footage, we were pushed up on the rock, unfortunately, even though we wanted to be out closer to the channel because that's where the current was. Everybody pushed up on us. Even though we started on the left, I started us on the left so that we could get that inside line. And our armor went up on the rock and we almost flipped. And I don't know how we didn't, but I seen this little opening where we had to paddle now. Otherwise, we probably would have just stopped, lost our momentum, and would have been forced to flip. But the swell kind of shifted us, and I could see that if we had just kept on paddling, it put our armor into a spot where we could get off the rock. And so I just yelled the boys just to paddle. And we did. And then immediately after that, we pushed out into the middle of the channel and got back into second place on our way out. And then once you're out, obviously it's just working what you can with the bumps out there. The bumps weren't very definitive. There was a mixture of just everything, plus a little bit of influence of boat wake from the lead boats and stuff. But yeah, it wasn't super nice and clear runs, You're calling pushes, but you're never quite confident, like, is it worth the push, is it not? Are you riding, or it's always a tough one. And it was like that going to the turn and on the way back. There wasn't a distinct pattern or run either direction. It was kind of the same the whole way. And until we got back into the channel, there were some nice runs there. At this point, with 5Ks to go, this is where we kind of really our energy levels started to take a toll, and our pushes got less and less, and the canoe got a little bit more and more quiet, and the heat kind of gets to you, and you're trying to dig deep, but there's just nothing really coming, from it. And that's when Rapa Nui passed us quite early, but the Cook Islands caught us in that last 5K too. And although they were within reach, the medal was within reach, it was still very hard to hold on or to rein them in and claim a medal. So big ups to Tahiti, who took it out convincingly. Brazil, who had an awesome performance. Like I said, they're a growing threat to the world of va'a. They're a force to be reckoned with. But also congratulations Rapa Nui and Cook Islands. We finished 5th. In the end, in the 6-man, yeah, it is what it is. We would have loved to secure a medal, but I'm proud of the boys and the efforts, especially our young ones, 17, 18 years old, jumping in with the opens representing our countries. Prior to that, other than that, I did have a singles race, which I managed to secure a silver medal, which I was stoked about. Couldn't crack the gold. Tahiti always strong. Hotu i te rei poroi, fresh off a almost super tahoi win, and really did really well at the Aitor, Super Aitor. So, I always knew he was going to be a tough opponent, tough one to beat. And he just paddled better than me. I made the mistake of taking a longer paddle. I should have just stuck to my guns and taken my shorter paddle. I did swap in the last 5Ks, but that was after predominantly most of the surf. So I would have liked my shorter 51-inch paddle in the surf. That was my only mistaken thing I would have probably changed. Other than getting some of the tides wrong on the way out. That was my bad. But it is what it is. And silver medal, 8 years on from my first silver that I got in Tahiti, second to Kevin. So at least I'm being consistent, right? And congrats Hotu, and also congrats Robert for the third place. Brazil, again, another threat. He wasn't too far behind me, and I know he was gunning for me. So that's the race side of things, the performance side. Big ups to all of the media, because not just the official media, but just people taking videos and photos of the races and the event, because got plenty of that sent my way, and it was just awesome to have those memories and those moments of paddling in Brazil with those beautiful backdrops. I appreciate all of you who sent videos and photos and stuff like that. So big thank you. But obviously it's always tough when you miss out, but we had a quick little wrap up straight after the race, acknowledging the boys' efforts and this dedication and the sacrifice that they put in for this campaign. And it's not easy, and obviously you want the goals and the performance, that's the thing, but deep down at the end of the day, like we don't do this for money. We don't, to a degree, we do it for competition. We do want the mana, we do want the pride of winning and that, but at least what we get out of it is experience. We get these moments where we get to travel to these beautiful destinations that not everyone gets to do, and I think those experiences and those moments that Va'a sets up for us, those are things that we carry with us for life, those memories, and we use it to motivate us to do another, right? Like, that's no matter what you do in life, you always have to have these things that you look forward to, that you're working towards. For me, having paddled and traveled a lot, the more I realized that actually the wins are more than just those performance goals. It's everything. It's the journey. It's who you're doing it with. It's the places that you go. It's the people you meet. It's the connections you make. It's experiences, the food, the people. It's all of these. It's living, really. These are the things that you've got to appreciate, and not just... The other thing I like to talk about too is when it comes to disappointment in races, just remember there's always another race. And that's the privilege. If you've got another race and you have the ability to train and work towards it, then that's a blessing in itself. So it's not just, you're not defined by one race. It's a lifetime, a lifestyle of paddling and racing that adds up. So keep pushing. Go back to the drawing board. Refocus. Write down your goals in your calendar, and appreciate the journey. So see what else notes I got here to touch on before we wrap up. Lessons learned. This is a good one. Obviously, being the coach of the New Zealand Elite Men's team, we had probably the most camps that I've had in a campaign. So we didn't lack the time coming together, although we probably had a couple that missed a few camps here and there. So we didn't lack that. But I think maybe one thing that I could have been a bit tougher on was the general mileage itself. Early on, I focused a bit more on quality of racing at speed. For a race of 24 kilometers, it doesn't seem that long. But one thing we probably did lack was probably just the endurance towards the later stages of that race, which probably could have been addressed by doing some over distance work. And I say that, but I mean, I probably could have gone down that route and and who knows, something could have happened. Like at the end of the day, what it probably comes down to is experience together and general experience of racing long distance races under your belt, where you get to the point where you're hurting and you have to push through. That's a hard thing to replicate at home without actually participating in big races. Different, you can race in 10Ks, 15Ks, even 20K races and have good performance, but when it comes to a longer race and you don't have that experience of racing and going into those depths at that level of competition is very hard to replicate. So yeah, maybe just making a few camps a bit harder. Sometimes at the time, it's cold and you've already done 30 kilometers or 60 kilometers, but you call it a day. But hey, maybe it is important to maybe just hurt a little bit more in those camps. It might pay off, but yeah, that's always in hindsight. So that's probably something I'd do differently, is just, a little bit harder, like train harder. That you can never really go wrong with that. Big takeaways for listeners, for you guys listening. Training lessons paddlers can apply at home. Discipline, hydration, team culture. No major takeaways for you guys. Just, hey, there's no secret. Time on the water is key. And obviously, the more you can get together as a team, the better. But that's always limited. Like I said, we don't get paid to do this. We do this for free. And it takes a lot of sacrifice. But the more you can get together as a team, the better. That's key. But also the homework that you do on your own, keeping yourself accountable in the single and going out and doing the mahi. That's important as well. Looking forward to the future. What's next? So that's it for the Distance Worlds season. And here in New Zealand, things are starting. Most people are looking towards our sprint nationals, which then leads into the Singapore World Sprints next year. However, if you're an international paddler here in New Zealand, then you're looking abroad to Hawaii, to Tahiti, because they've still got a lot of long distance races ahead of them. So like the Molokai Hoi, Hawaii Nui Wa'a, Super Tahoi is next weekend. Races like this, the people are looking forward to. And if you're keen and you've got time off and you've been training hard, you're looking to go over and do those races. Also we're doing in a couple of weeks, we're doing the Whale Run in Australia, Sunshine Coast. So that's something to look forward to for us, Team Thai Paddles. And yeah, really looking forward to that. But obviously, once the distance races wrap up, then probably start looking towards Sprint Nationals, because that'll be a big one, because it's basically qualifier for the Singapore Club Champs and the V1s. So people will be really gearing up for that one. Be a big one. And I think Singapore will be massive. But Brazil was very special, very special. One of the things that blew my mind was just the support for Train Like a King, and the amount of people that I guess recognized me and came up and asked for a photo was kind of very overwhelming, but I'm always happy to do that. Love that. Sorry to my teammates and everyone else that was impacted by the rush and could barely even go to the toilet without being stopped for a photo. But hey, I gotta make the most of that while it lasts, because not everyone's gonna remember or know who I am the older I get. But it's awesome to know that you guys watch my paddling videos, even if it is just the same old GoPro footage of me paddling on a flat water, or listen to these podcasts, or follow me on Instagram or whatever. Appreciate the support, and it's always, sometimes I take it for granted, and I love posting. Don't get me wrong, I love posting videos. That's one of my favorite things to do. But sometimes you don't realize how much of an impact it's having on paddlers. And sometimes I'm busy thinking about like top paddlers or elite paddlers and all this, but actually the majority is like the paddlers, first time paddlers just starting out. This is probably the most important impact that you're having, is on the growing and developing the sport from the infancy. It's the ones that you're attracting to the sport, the new ones. These are the ones that that you're providing real, more value than you think you're giving. And sometimes I forget that. So yeah, that's why I'm always open for a photo, signature, whatever, because I know that it's good for the sport. It's good for our sport. The more people that are paddling, the bigger the races get, the more the opportunities. And one day somebody's going to get paid full time to paddle. It won't be me, but somebody's going to have a paddling grant, similar to how Olympic paddlers do. Somebody's going to be paid full time. So, hey, if that helps someone do that, all the better. Anyway, thanks again. It's 30 minutes recapping Brazil. If you have any topics that you want me to speak about, I'm happy to. And yeah, anyway, get out there, get on the water. No secret, get out there. But if you need a training plan, we've got plenty on our website. If you need any merch or paddles, check out our store as well. But yeah, any questions, fire them through. Send them to me on social media. I'm happy to help. And we'll catch you on the next episode of the Train Like a King podcast. Kia ora.